Guys, welcome back to HPL. These players have been working diligently to make sure their decks are absolutely perfect for each other. And this is a little bit of a dangerous matchup because we have the Eastern metagame versus the Western metagame, and it's going to be very interesting to see how both of these players adapt to those strategies.
Absolutely. You said it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be most interesting to see what Dog leads with in this match. You have to believe it's going to be Druid, but you never know if he's going to throw a curveball because he knows that Kranich is going to, target that Druid strategy. So it looks like we're going to have the game ready here in just a second. We're going to see exactly what Dog queues up. It's going to be game one between Dog and Kranich.
Guys, get out there on Twitter, use that hashtag HPL, let everyone know who you're supporting. I expect big support for Dog, but Kranich really looking to strut his stuff here in this very first big appearance since BlizzCon. He's here in HPL.
And look at the interesting hand that Dog has here.
You know, we talked about what an innovator he was. He loves to put his own twist on decks. In the very first match, he's queuing up Shaman. We've already seen Loot Hoarder and Reincarnate in this build.
Yeah, and Kranich is queuing up one of my favorite decks in Rogue.
Rogue, a very powerful strategy. Anytime that you leave a minion on the board for Rogue, you are always at risk of having a big Tinker Sharp Sword Oil put out massive damage from your opponents. A very strong lead here for Dog, though. Turn 1 Zombie Chow is always something you want to see.
Yeah, Turn 1 Zombie Chow is actually really good against Rogue. As you said, they're looking to get early pressure, coupling that with minion control for the first couple turns of the game, and then try to leverage that by having one stick around late in the game and have huge bursts of damage.
Yeah, so Loot Hoarder going to come out here. A couple different options here for Kranich. He's going to think through his options and make sure that he's absolutely perfect with what he chooses to do. Blood Mage, such a strong card in these Rogue decks. Really able to make sure that stuff like Fan of Knives deals huge damage and make sure it's clearing out boards very efficiently. He's just going to go with SI7 Agent straight away. Takes care of that Loot Hoarder. That's going to be a replacement for Dog. And that SI7 Agent directly challenging that Zombie Chow. So going to negate the damage that it's been able to deal so far. Yeah, one of the best early plays from Rogue, just coining out an SI7 Agent on turn 2 versus any aggressive deck is exactly what Kranich is looking for. Yeah, 3 mana for 2 damage on a minion. Almost every single early game minion is going to be picked off by that. Sans something like Zombie Chow or Shielded Minibot. And just going to be a totem here. And it looks like he's going to trade this Zombie Chow straight away. He knows that Earthshock doesn't have a lot of strong targets versus Rogue. Blood Mage is about the only target where you're very happy to see something like Earthshock. So he's not going to gamble on the fact that Kranich has got one of those in his hands. And frankly, I like that. Yeah, Dog didn't have a very strong turn 3 there. You know, it was okay, but his turn 4 looks like it's going to be pretty strong following this up. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if Kranich can actually advance his board any. And it looks like he's going to have to leave the Blood Mage Thanos out to dry if he wants to do that. But instead, he's going to develop a weapon and probably just pass the turn here. Yeah, just goes ahead and gets the poison out, just like you said. Not going to take care of this healing totem. That he feels like that would be a little bit of a waste. And Dog, I mean, this looks like a picture-perfect turn here. Fireguard Destroyer can be absolutely devastating. We'll see how much bonus attack it gets on the front end. It's the full Monty. Wow. 7/6 Fireguard Destroyer. You know what? Rogues don't play stuff like Big Game Hunter in those decks very often. And right there, we talk about Kranich like to put his own twist on decks. We see a Keys and Mystic straight away. Yeah, we see a Keys and Mystic straight away, and it's going to be interesting to see if he leaves it in his deck for the next games, if he queues up Rogue again. But it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with the 7/6 Destroyer in play. Rogue doesn't have a lot of clean ways to deal with a 6 toughness minion. Yeah, I mean, it looks to me like Sans using something like Preparation this turn. He's going to have to either take some damage from this Fireguard Destroyer, taking some blowback, leveraging that weapon to make sure that he can keep this off the board and that it doesn't continue to hit him turn after turn. But he's got a couple other options too. So it looks like he's going to go with Preparation. I don't mind this at all. Turning this into a heal spell, making sure you get tempo going. Everything looks pretty clean here. Yeah, he's going to get a big sharp. Whoa, wait a minute. I thought he was going to Fan of Knives. Yeah, I thought he was going to Fan of Knives here and use Eviscerate, but that's actually what he's going to end up doing. That's just a really clean turn from Kranich here. He actually picks up the extra kill here on the healing totem, so he gets a little extra value from his Fan of Knives here. And not to mention, he picks up a Pilot Shredder, which is pretty good. Yeah, against Shaman, it's one of those classes where you typically expect people to have a few more minions killed because you want to keep totems under control and make sure they can't utilize stuff like Flame Tongue Totem, Defender of Argus, all those kinds of cards. But that second Earthshock, he's already got one out of his deck, and this is the second one coming out, taking care of this Blood Mage. So that's a little bit of a win there, I think, for Dog. He's not going to draw another one of those this game. So unless Kranich has something like a big Edwin Van Cleef, I don't think that he's too sad about this. Yeah, Kranich can't be too sad about seeing both of those already out since he has Pilot Shredder in his deck and in his hand. So he knows that he's actually going to get the value from it later. Now, that was a pretty big draw there from Dog. Yeah, that could spell absolutely massive trouble for him. But this Emperor, I gotta believe this is coming on the board. You're at 30 life right now. You've still got a totem on board that your opponent probably wants to keep in check. Emperor is almost certainly one of those cards you have to kill. He's gonna favor just going with the Crackle here. There's a 75% chance that succeeds on the kill. The only way it's not is if he gets a 4 on that Crackle. So excellent stuff there, making sure that the board doesn't get out of control as far as the 1/1 minions are concerned. Almost perfect draw here from Kranich.
Yeah, I mean, he would much rather have it on turn 5, but it's fine on turn 6 here. He doesn't, he's not going to float around too much mana. Now, Dog is just settling in for the long game, and you got to love that if you're Kranich, because he's got huge combo potential the longer this game goes.
Yeah, anytime he picks up a Blade Flurry, it is absolutely massive.
Wow.
Nat Pagel is in Dog's deck.
I did not expect to see that card today.
I don't think I've ever been happier than seeing Nat Pagel. This is one of my favorite cards.
Do you like to go fishing, Nathan?
I love to go fishing, and so does Nat Pagel. He's going to drop Emperor Thoris on here, make sure he gets this extra mana. This is a massive threat now for Kranich. He's going to want to deal with this. It's just a matter of how. Yeah,
this is going to be an interesting turn to see how he gets through this and navigates this board, because I don't think you can let this Emperor sit around for too long, and he's just going to use his second Deadly Poison here to clean off this Emperor. I just have to believe that's what's going to happen this turn.
He's 1 mana shy of having such a great turn with that Edwin Van Cleef. But you know what? Being able to kill this Emperor, he's going to take some blowback for it. Dog hasn't been applying a lot of pressure, so being able to leverage your life total in that way is something I think you're more than happy to do at this point. He's even going to get this Piloted Shredder on the board, and then next turn I think he's going to look for a 4/4 Van Cleef and hope that's enough to really get some strong stuff done.
Yeah, what you're seeing is Kranich execute the rogue plan here. What he's doing is he's controlling the board while advancing his own board at the same time, utilizing his really cheap removal spells to maximum effect here. And that's another pretty good draw here for Dog. He's drawing a lot of his good late game spells here right on curve.
Yeah, I don't think that Alec here is going to come out quite this turn. Again, it doesn't challenge the Azure Drake very well, so just going to continue to totem here. Kranich has shown that he's going to continue to kill these totems, so that's something that's going to direct his attacks that way. But now it's a matter of exactly how you assign minions to this board, because right now Nat Pagel is checked basically on every single angle, so I don't think that's getting played. It's a matter of whether or not he wants to use this Crackle this turn or save it for next turn. If he uses the Crackle this turn, one of the problems with that is there's not as much left on the board that he can steal with that Sylvanas. So taking a little bit of risk here with his life total, leaving 2 minions on the board, he could potentially take some massive damage here, but Kranich's hand is not equipped to do that.
Yeah, I really like him not attacking or using the Crackle, I'm sorry, here on this turn, because he's going to want to get value off the Sylvanas to win this game. Kranich is firing on all cylinders in these last couple turns, and he's getting very, very aggressive here, and you see why. He has 2 Sharp Sword Oils in his hand. They might end this game very quickly. He has a ton of damage lined up over these next turns.
Yep, Dog's got a couple ways to taunt up now. That's a pretty strong draw coupled with that Alec here. Could potentially provide a lot of burst later on. And this is one of those spots where I think that Dog is going to be able to clean this board up pretty nicely and make sure he's protected.
Yeah, this Defender of Argus is pretty big here. Seeing your opponent get that aggressive, ooh, he's thinking about playing an Alec here since he picked up a Rockbiter.
I don't mind the Alec here either, because now there's 2 3 health minions on the board. So the Alec here is getting absolute favorable trades in a position like this. So even here, he's got so many options on how he wants to kill the board position that's hanging out. Is that a Crackle in Zone Sylvanas? It certainly is. He's going to steal that Piloted Shredder, and 3 points in that Alec here's go into the dome. Kranich needs a Blade Flurry very quickly to deal with this board position.
Yeah, he pretty much needs it right here. Now that's sprint.
There's a sprint.
If he can pick up a prep into a Blade Flurry here, we might see a huge turn here from him, but it doesn't look like that's going to be what happens here. He picked up a sap, but that's not even that great here. He might have to do it just to kind of, keep his life total at bay here, because he knows there are things like Rockbiter Weapon in Dog's deck that can deal a ton of damage here over the next turn. So Kranich not getting exactly what he needs that turn. He's starting to fall behind here.
Yeah, this is actually sort of a peculiar spot here for Dog, because your opponent hasn't played Blade Flurry yet, but they just drew 4 cards and they're drawing another one next turn. So the thought of Blade Flurry is in the back of his head right now. I would expect that he's going to kind of play a little bit safe here, maybe hold on to this Defender of Argus, but I don't know. I mean, this could potentially be an explosive turn for him as well. He's got 9 mana available. He's got Hex to back himself up in case things go wrong. This is looking like advantage is in Dog's court right now.
Absolutely, the advantage is definitely with Dog right now. You know what? He's been so patient this game. You've seen him just totem up every single turn, almost this entire game. So you have to believe that he's going to be pretty patient as well this turn and not just move all in.
Yeah, so there the Piloted Shredder's coming down no matter what. That's protected as it is. And Nat Pagel is hitting the board, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again. It looks like he is actually just going to play
everything. Yeah, and look at that. He's pushing damage. 14 points with that Alec here. 1 more with the Healing Totem for good measure. Kranich in a massively defensive position. He picks up the Blade Flurry!
Oh my god.
Look at that. The full 10 mana. This is going to be a massive turn for him. He's going to kill every single minion that Dog has, and it's up to the Pilot Shredder to drop something good to make sure that Dog can continue to push for damage.
Yeah, Kranich is at 7 here, so he's still kind of in a precarious situation depending on what comes out of the Shredder here, but Dog only has a Hex left in his hand.
There's the Blade Flurry cleaning up everything on the board. There's a 2-1 that's out of this, so not going to be able to take care of that. Alec here gets picked off by this SI7 agent. Huge minion kills over from Kranich.
And what a draw from Dog here. Azure Drake is exactly what he wanted. It's another minion to add pressure, plus it gives him another draw this turn, and he picks up a Reincarnate.
Yeah, Reincarnate cannot be utilized this turn. It's not going to trigger any battle cries or anything like that. Is this a spot where he feels like he wants to Hex here? I mean, a 3/3 is not a strong minion, but Rogue doesn't have a lot of heavy commitment minions in its deck. You know, something like Lotheb is basically the top. Lotheb, maybe Emperor Thorson is basically the top end.
Yeah, or just a huge Van Cleave. But you gotta wonder, Dog, he has, you know, Kranich has drawn a lot of cards here late in this game, and you have to be worried that you might die next turn. You're only at 13.
Yeah, I mean, he just saw a big Blade Flurry come out. He did see a Tinker Sharpsword Oil, and he's seen Deadly Poison, he's seen Eviscerate. So Kranich doesn't have a ton of damage left in his deck, but he certainly has enough to be a threat here, and that's exactly what Dog's thinking about. How important is this 3/3 right now?
Yeah, it looks like he is gonna Hex. He's gonna play it safe. We've seen him be very patient and play it safe this game, and he's actually gonna pick off the 0-1 taunt here. I really like this play from Dog here.
Look at that, Earthen Ring Farseer. It's going to help keep his life total topped off. I mean, he's facing down 6 points of damage. Yeah, I really like this line from Dog, too, because it's following through on exactly what he's done. He moved all in. He decided, you know what, I'm going to try to kill Kranich here and now. And the fact that he's following up on that is exactly what he needs to do to pick up this win.
Yeah, that Blade Flurry was quite the top deck by Kranich there.
Well, we call it a top deck. He did draw 4 cards off of a sprint, so you're going to find it at some point. Very high % chance to have found it at that point in the game. So pretty standard stuff here from Kranich. Just going to make sure he keeps his life total topped up. Again, when you're staring down 6 points of damage and you're at 10, you're not in a comfortable position. Lotheb could potentially keep Eviscerate from being a lethal draw this turn, could it? No, I'm sorry, it's still 10 points of damage that's going to come out there. He's got 2 spell power. I'm sorry, it's 11 points of damage. He's got 2 spell power minions on the board right now. So everything in Dog's court, a single draw could end it here. We're looking at Lightning Bolt could end it. Rockbiter could end it. Fire Elemental could end it. There's so many cards. Yeah, there's so many cards that are left in Dog's deck that could win the game here, and just nothing that Kranich can really do.
Yeah, but it's also interesting to see this, that if Dog doesn't win this turn, Kranich is set up to win possibly next turn.
There's an 8-mana Hex. And you know what? It kind of looks good enough right now. Just kind of keep stuff off the board. Again, you know, he's at 13. Going to roll a totem here. Taunt, I think, is exactly what he wants. Just going to make sure he trades off here. So that 4/4 is going to trade into the 3/3. Make sure that he can utilize every single card to its maximum effect. Frog is on the board, but that's still a minion. Blade Flurry could still be very deadly in a situation. I'm sorry, the Tinker Sharpsword can still be very deadly in a situation like this.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he does this turn. He's going to start this turn out with a sprint, probably looking to pick up a prep here. If he picks up a prep, this could be a very big turn for him.
Gets an Antique Heal Bot. Blade Flurry and Phantom is going to be added to this hand, so enough to clear off Dog's minions. He's left with Reincarnate in his hand.
Yeah, and that Phantom Knives was back-breaking from Kranich there. It looks like he's going to be able to win this game next turn. Oh,
Doomhammer gets picked up by Dog. He's not able to utilize that Reincarnate, so these totems, he needs to get something going from this. I gotta believe he would have loved to see a Taunt Totem here, but the 1/1's gonna apply a little bit of extra pressure. Kranich down to 6, but he's got Antique Healbot.
He's got Antique Healbot to get himself into a safe range of life total here. Dog has been a little flustered this game by his totems, because I don't know if he's actually made a Taunt Totem this entire game. He's been looking for him every turn.
Still a little bit of danger. Kranich, I mean, he's got an Antique Healbot this turn, right?
Yeah, I think so. It depends on, like, he could be really, really risky. I mean, we've seen him be risky in the past and do some kind of creative stuff, but he's actually counting up damage here to see if he has lethal.
Yeah, I think he's just a few mana shy of being able to do it. 5 from Azure Drake, 2 from the weapon. Prep will make that Tinker Sharpsword Oil cost 1. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, that's 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah,
I think he's just short. So
yeah,
he's going to have to Antique Healbot here, which...
This, honestly, I mean, this is still a totally fine turn for him still here, too. He gets to backstab this totem, heal himself back up, get a Van Cleef on the board. He's seen both Hexes. He's seen both Earth Shocks. I mean, it looks to me like it's completely unchecked.
Yeah, and he gets to make a weapon that he's going to have just sitting around for next turn as well.
He's going to
make some extra plays here. He might actually just Eviscerate here.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do. So 4 points go into the dome, and that big Van Cleef is going to spell a lot of trouble. I don't know if there's a single draw in Dog's deck that can get him out of this.
Yeah, it looks like Dog's going to be down quickly 1-0 in this match to Kranich unless he top decks something really crazy. Hey, do you think he has a Deathwing in his deck?
I don't think he has a Deathwing in his deck, but you never know. I didn't think Nat Pagel was going to be here and here either. Not enough damage to finish it off, but he can draw one more card of that Reincarnate.
Yeah. Let's see if it's something he wants to do. He actually doesn't have a whole lot of mana left. You know, the Overload's actually going to come back to bite him a little bit this turn as well.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of too much from Kranich being able, again, that Blade Flurry completely wiping out his board.
What a draw that turn.
Such a beautiful turn that was.
Oh,
so this last draw, again,
draw.
I don't... Oh, he's going to reincarnate this Edwin Van Cleef, turn it into a 2-2 and hope that there's not enough damage on Kranich's side of the board, but we see Blade Flurry, we see Tinker Sharp Sword Oil. He's going to go up 1-0 in this series.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty heads-up play you don't see from a lot of people, but I love this play from Dog. You know, it's his only way to win. You just have to hope and pray here.
Yeah, I mean, you always got to play to your outs. I mean, Kranich actually almost out of cards here. Well, he's drawn 29 cards out of his deck so far, so that's going to do it. Again, Kranich 1-0 in this series, and we've seen a little bit of his flair on here. Keys and Mystic and Rogue, not something you see every day.
Yeah, it's not something you see every day, especially against a player who's known for queuing up Druid a lot. It's very interesting to see why he had Keys on Mystic in his deck. We're probably going to have to ask him about that if he wins this round against Dog.
Certainly a question I would have for him if he ends up picking up this series, but man, what a game. Dog already showing his full range of potential here. Nat Pagel in this Shaman deck. I literally have not played Nat Pagel since the change happened to that card. This is like eons ago, like 2007 or whatever year it was, it felt like. But something interesting that we've seen from him, trying to utilize Reincarnate with something like Sylvanas to get a major swing on the board, wasn't able to happen this game.
Yeah, he brought a really interesting deck to the first game here. We talked about it, that he needed to be capable of bringing something different than Druid game one, and he did. He played a very off-the-wall deck that we didn't expect to see, frankly, this round. And it's going to be interesting to see, since he's down 1-0, is he going to queue up Druid now?
We're going to see how he adjusts to it. He did see Keys and Mystic, so maybe something that he's going to be thinking about as he moves into game 2. They're making changes to their deck. Again, they can change their deck or their class in any way that they see fit here at HPL with this format. There are no restrictions placed on the players. Guys, when we come back, it's going to be game 2, Dog versus Kranich. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.